Hello, my name is Bradley and I'm your host of The Internal Game. I'm taking a walk right now, so I hope you guys can hear me. It might be a little windy, but I'll talk a little bit louder. So I wanted to talk about forgiving your creation. A lot of times we can think that, we're trying to forgive a person, we need to forgive ourselves, things like that, but there is no others. Like, you're only ever meeting you, right? And what I mean by that is, like, especially in the SP community, I was talking with somebody yesterday and they were telling me a story about how they came into where they were at with their person, and it was clear as day. I was like, well, of course it was working out with your person in the beginning because you guys were having fun. You looked at them favorably, right? And then whether it be your insecurities, your belief system, things like that, maybe you had a past with this person and she did, and it was like those things kind of crept in, and then all of a sudden you're looking at your person in an unfavorable light. And people can only show up how we expect them to show up. So she ended up creating extremely unfavorable circumstances for herself, and she had a lot of resentment built up. And I was like, man, I can't explain to you how much I relate to this, but something I came to the conclusion of, and the realization is that there's really no one else to forgive. Like, you have to forgive yourself for the way that you looked at this person, because that's what created it. And the way that you looked at this person had a lot to do with how you looked at yourself and the fears that you held and insecurities that you had within yourself. So we got done talking, and I was going to make a video about it yesterday, but I was thinking about it a little bit more. And even if let's just say you are in a situation like that where you're trying to get your person, and maybe you got some history, or maybe it's just a person in general that you're trying to get. If you carry the gunk of, if you carry the gunk of resentment and attached to hurt and things like that, and you're not forgiving yourself or the other person, if you even in your head, the other person, for the way that you created them, then you're going to experience that later on at some point, because you have that in you. A lot of times that we lose our specific people in these communities, right? It's because, like Neville Goddard said, the loveless never find love. And what he meant was, if you don't have love for yourself within you, and you don't think your person loves you, which you're going to think your person doesn't love you if you don't think you're lovable, right? Then that's what you're going to see reflected back to you. And then we blame them, right? Or a person gets upset with the other person thinking, no, I did everything, when really they just forever were reflecting back you. So I know I was going to talk about the self-concept because it clearly is important. Even in this case, I'm talking about, is if you had a strong self-concept, didn't have as much gunk in you, it'd probably be a lot more believable for you to think that somebody loves you and wouldn't abandon you or choose somebody else and things like that, right? But, and we're going to get into that, but before we get into that, I just wanted to make this video about how important it is to forgive your creation. There's nothing that's happened up until this point in your life that you haven't thought about, believed was going to happen, expected was going to happen, whether you're aware of it or not. So it really is your creation. So to walk around being mad at any specific person, for that matter, for the way that they showed up in your life is quite insane, because it's really not them. Because think about how many versions of your person that you've seen, no matter who that be, whether that be romantic, whatever. Think about how many, let's just focus on romantic. Think about how many versions of them you've seen, especially in the beginning of the relationship, how they were great, loving, caring, and then all of a sudden you start looking at them unfavorably, maybe expected the worst, maybe expected another person was going to come into play, they were going to choose somebody else, and then it happened. So That's how powerful you are. But they're not to blame, right? So whether you want them back or not, I don't care what the case is, I just wanted to make this video about like the importance of knowing that the whole thing is coming from within you. And you need to forgive yourself for looking at somebody else like that, because like it's really not fair to them. It's not fair to them that you looked at them unfavorably or thought that they were anything less than what they actually are, which is perfect. And if you would have thought they were perfect and thought you were perfect, then none of this would have happened, right? So, yeah, think about that. Like, you're really take them out of the equation for a second and say, yo, what was I doing? How was I looking at them? Did I look at them like they were less than? Did I judge them harshly? And you're probably going to come to the realization that you were, or scared, right? Or think that they weren't going to love you, and they were going to find somebody else, or maybe you had somebody else in mind that they were going to like better. Like, all the stuff that was going on in your head eventually ended up getting played back to you. So there's really no one to blame. And don't even blame yourself. Like, don't be too hard on yourself, because you were really doing the best you could with the beliefs that you had about yourself at that time. And that's why we're going to get into self-concept in the next video. But just before we get into that, I know a lot of the people want their specific person, and a lot of them have had, past with them, which kind of makes it a little bit more trickier, right? Not really, but in that sense of trying to forgive and forget that, you have to realize that there's nothing to forgive. Like, they didn't do anything. They had no choice but to reflect back your inner world and what you thought they were going to do, and how you felt about yourself, and how you felt that they felt about you. So, yeah, just, it's extremely important. Like, it's extremely important to realize that, like, all these things are your creation. Even them, even the way they show up. Because think about how different it was in the beginning and till the end, or even in the middle. It all had to do with how you viewed them. And then eventually they reflected it back. Good or bad, or favorable or unfavorable. So yeah, I just wanted to remind you guys to forgive yourself, for your creation. Because you did it. And they had no choice but to reflect that back. So that's pretty much all I got. Next video, we'll get into some cool self-concept stuff. I think I'm gonna keep doing the walking videos for a while. I like it. Gets my mind going pretty good. But yeah, sorry for the delay in the videos. I am back, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to forgive yourself, and everything is changeable, right? Whether you want a change in that area or not, like, you don't have to be the same person anymore. You don't have to have the same ideas about yourself or these people anymore. Everything is changeable, just like it was from the honeymoon phase to the doomsday phase, right? So that's pretty much all I got, and I will see you guys in the next video.